Howdy gamers, let's talk about the runes for Zilean support. Coming into Season 10, Zilean's a lot more annoying as now he has Shirelias and the Aftershock supports aren't as strong. So Zilean has a more likelihood of like actually having a successful laning phase as you're playing into champions that just can't insta-kill you now. Fantastic. Anyways, the two major keystones for Zilean are going to be Aerie and Guardian. I'm going to cover both of those, and in this video I also assume that you have a basic understanding of Zilean and the support role. So starting off with the keystone Aerie. Aerie, whenever you damage an enemy champion, you deal a little bit more damage, and then whenever you use a supportive ability on your allies, you're going to give them a little bit of a shield. So whenever you use your E to speed someone up, you're going to give them a shield, and then whenever you use your ult as well. It's kind of counterintuitive with the ult, but with Summon Aerie, a lot of its power is in its early extra damage because all Zilean really offers in the laning phase is his Q poke, and then when his Q's on cooldown, it's nice to have the Aerie shield on your E because if you're using your E correctly, you're using it on your AD carry, and then if you use it on them, it gives them a lot more movement speed, and then it also gives them that little bit of shield. So it makes it so that if they take a trade, then it's a lot easier for them as they're going to take less damage, then also have more movement speed to either dodge skill shots or kite away, etc. So it's a pretty synergistic rune, and again, it's mostly just for the extra damage early, as that's what's going to lead to a lot of wins in solo queue. It's not the highest synergy rune with the champion, as other supports just make better use of it as it's kind of designed for them, but it still works on Zilean. And the way it works with his E is kind of interesting compared to other supports. It's not just like adding a shield on a shield, it's giving a shield to an ability that otherwise wouldn't have it. So that's kind of interesting. That and Aerie's on a really low cooldown because the cooldown on Aerie is based on the distance that it has to come back to you. So if you're using it to shield your ally, then it's a bit quicker, and then if you use it to damage someone, then you have to wait for Aerie to come all the way back from them. So it's on a pretty low cooldown regardless. Second rune is going to be Mana Flow Ban. Hitting an enemy champion with an ability permanently increases your maximum mana by 25 up to 250. This gives you like a Sapphire Crystal for free, and then after reaching 250 bonus mana, you restore 1% of your missing mana every 5 seconds. So it's a nice mana regen rune, but it's also just like a Sapphire Crystal for free. It's like 350 gold for free. As support, it's really, really strong. It's strong on basically every support. But with Zilean especially, like, you need mana or you're just not a champion. You need mana and you need fucking ability power. So that's what a lot of the runes are going to revolve around. Great rune. Fourth is going to be Absolute Focus. Transcendent is fine. You can also make the argument that like you're going to get to level 10 faster than most supports because of Zilean passive, but it's kind of whatever. Transcendence is good, but with Absolute Focus, come mid-game, if you don't have enough AP, you stop being functional as Zilean because you need damage and you need AP so that the ult is stronger. And then you need like healing and you basically need like Forbidden Idol items. With Absolute Focus, while you're above 70% HP, you gain bonus AP for free. Come mid-game, you're always going to be above 70% HP because you're just going to be playing backline anyways. And then in the early laning phase, you don't really get a lot of value out of Absolute Focus, but come mid-game, it's nice just to have a little bit more AP. The Transcendence is fine, but Zilean also like doesn't require that 10% CDR at that stage of the game. So having the extra AP, if you're ahead, it's good. If you're behind, it's really good as you're just not going to be able to purchase the ability power anyways. Fourth row, your good options are Gathering Storm or Scorch. If you have a lane that you can win, which is probably why you're running Aerie in the first place, you should run Scorch. Your next damaging ability hit sets the enemy champion on fire, dealing bonus magic damage based on level, and this is also only on a 10-second cooldown. So basically every single time your bomb is up, you're going to be dealing more damage so long that you hit it with Aerie and Scorch. So with these two, they add to your poke in lane. And then Mana Flow Ban and Absolute Focus act as like somewhat like they're like 20% laning tools, but like 80% scaling tools. That's how you should look at them. And then for the secondary tree, you do have an interesting option. I'm not recommending this primary as it's easier to use the Inspiration Tree second, but I do want to mention that Domination second with Ghost Poro and Ult Hunter is a pretty interesting option for Zilean. With Ghost Poro, whenever you place a ward and it expires, you spawn a Ghost Poro. The Ghost Poro basically functions the same as a ward. It gives you vision around an area, but once the enemy walks into that area, then it kills the Ghost Poro, so then you no longer have that vision. And every time a Ghost Poro is placed, then you get bonus ability power. So you eventually get 30 ability power from this, and it's guaranteed that you're going to get to that amount because you start with Trinket Ward and then you get a Sightstone later in the game. So you're guaranteed to get this amount of AP for free, which is so strong on support. The laning utility of it in the bot lane too is pretty good, as the best ward in bot lane is the one closest to their tower, and that's going to show you if an enemy jungler is coming in, where the bot lane's positioning, etc. You get a lot of information from it. And with Ghost Poro, you extend the duration of that vision by a whole minute. And that can be so crucial around like dragon timings and whatnot, especially against like cheese junglers or like melee supports that like to sneak into the alcove. So champions like Rengar, Thresh, Blitzcrank, etc. And then Ultimate Hunter has pretty obvious synergies. Zilean is just so gated by if his ult is up or not, especially as a support. So having reduced cooldown on it, it starts off at 5%, which is pretty low, but in most games you're guaranteed to at least get 2 Bounty Hunter stacks. A Bounty Hunter stack being a unique takedown on a particular champion. So you kill their support, that's one. You kill their AD, that's another, etc. And you're basically guaranteed to get like at least 2 stacks come like 15 minutes. So then you're going to be sitting on that cooldown reduction on the ult, but then you're also going to have CDR from items. But then you're also, if you get a Cloud Dragon too, it's so overpowered for Zilean. There's a lot of ways to get ult cooldown in Season 10. It's so strange. Anyways, so that's an interesting option. If you're more adept at Zilean, I'd recommend trying this out, as it's definitely just like more power to you. And then, but the default secondary runes that I recommend is Biscuits and Cosmic Insight. It's just so simple to use, and regardless if you're good or bad, you're going to be getting pretty good value out of these secondary runes. Biscuit Delivery. Every 2 minutes until 6 minutes, you get a biscuit, and the biscuits restore 10% of your missing health and mana, and then consuming a biscuit also permanently increases your mana by 50. So it's a good laning tool. It's a good all-in tool, as the lower health you are, the more HP it's going to restore. If you run out of mana from spamming the Q in lane, then you're also going to be able to just stay in lane and then actually have mana to continue fighting or throwing Qs, because it's going to restore the missing mana as well. And then it permanently increases your mana by 50, which is so nice because, again, Zilean wants all the free mana he can get, especially where you're probably building into Forbidden Idol items first now, because you can get all this mana for free in the runes. There's no reason to build like something like tier anymore. That shit's been a joke and like should stay a joke. Anyways, Cosmic Insight, you get 5% CDR on your abilities, summoner spells, and items. Zilean can make use of all of these, as he can use he has a good build path into a lot of active items like Shirelia's Redemption. And then you have obvious utility with the ability summoner spell cooldown, as his abilities are pretty long cooldown, and having them up more often helps, but you're also sitting on this 5% CDR from level 1 to the rest of the game, versus having to wait till level 10 to get the 10% CDR from something like Transcendence. And then with the summoner spells, it's kind of whatever. Having the flash up is whatever. If you're running defensive summoner spells though, like Heal or Exhaust, or even Cleanse, it can be pretty good to have up more often, because in matchups that you would run the defensive summoner spells, it's more important to have them up more often, as you just give an all-in champion less of a timing window to all-in you or your AD carry. Adaptive runes is going to be ability power, and armor. Since you're going to be playing in the bot lane, you do gain a lot of value out of armor. With any mage support, usually it's like a mid laner being played in the support role, and mage supports usually have really low base armor, and they're basically just countered by AD carries, but they counter AD carries in the sense that they outrange them. But if the AD carry can actually hit them, then the AD carry's winning, as they should be, because you have so many abilities to like deal with them. But the armor helps negate the AD carries damage, the minion damage, the enemy support attacks damage, maybe a tower shot, a dragon, etc. and it's basically required that you start with this armor at the minimum. If you wanted to go even more defensive, you could just run armor and magic resist too. But with Zilean, I don't recommend it, as you just have one of the highest ranges in the game if you're just playing for your max range bombs. So it's not so necessary that you have the extra magic resist. That, and you're also not a sustained support, so you're not taking trades in which you trade your health, because you don't have shields and heals for you or your ADC. So if you're playing into those and you're trading your health versus just trading your mana for their health, then you're kind of messing up. So that's the Airy page. This would be the default page I'd recommend for Zilean support, as it's pretty basic. It's really linear in its functionality, where throw the bomb, deal damage early, and then just have more utility late game because you have the Airy shield, you have a lot of mana for free, and then Zilean's abilities just naturally scale defensively so long that you only put like 3 points in Q if the game goes even, and then you start maxing the E. So that's where you get your utility as Zilean support. It doesn't have to be from the runes. So he's so unique in that sense. Really weird champion. Alrighty, second keystone is going to be Guardian. The Guardian page is it takes away a bit of your early power, as you're not going to have the extra damage from Airy and Scorch. You're not going to have the extra mana or AP from Mana Flow Ban and Absolute Focus. You're also not going to have like the short cooldown on the shield. With Guardian, you get a one-time shield, which is on a 70 to 40 second cooldown, basically 1 minute cooldown throughout most of the game. And then you have a much bigger shield than Airy, but the trade-off is that it's on such a high cooldown. And then whenever you're near an ally who gets hit by an ability, or you get hit by an ability or an auto attack, then you're going to proc the shield. Or if you're using your E or your ult on an ally, then you're also going to proc this shield. Or the enemy is going to proc this shield whenever they deal damage. The shield value is also based on your percentage ability power and the percentage bonus health. So you can have some scaling with the ability power, but the thing is, it's hard to buy ability power on Zilean because you want to build items like Shirelias and Redemption and whatnot. But anyways, with Guardian, it's better into melee matchups, as you can almost negate their engage entirely without even having to spend ult. So let's say they land a hook on your ADC and you throw the double bomb and then you use your E on them. They're going to get this movement speed from the E, and then they're also going to get percentage movement speed from Guardian and a shield to get away as well. So you're going to be blocking a bit of the damage, and then also kind of guaranteeing that they can just walk away really fast from that engage. But it's on like a 1 minute cooldown. So if you're in matchups like mage supports and enchanter supports, it is so easy for those champions to block or to proc Guardian for free, and then it's just on cooldown. With Airy, you can use your E so that you have the small shield on your ally, and then they can trade, and then they kite back, and then once your E is up again, you can do that again. You're not waiting 1 whole minute to take small trades over and over and over. So you either take like it's basically just better in all ends, as you have this one big ass shield and then it's on cooldown. So it's either wildly useful offensively or defensively, depending on like just how the lane's playing out. But again, the trade-off is just that cooldown. It's so significant. It's so significant in the laning phase. It's so significant in team fights, and it can be procced so easily. So you really have to be like paying attention to how you spend your abilities and if it's gonna proc the Guardian or not. Because once it's down, man, it's down. And if a fight breaks out, you're just out of Keystone. But if you make use of it, it's so impactful. Second rune, Font of Life. Impairing the movement of an enemy champion marks them for 4 seconds. Allied champions who attack marked enemies heal for 5 plus 1% of your max health over 2 seconds. So whenever you use your E on an enemy or you land a double bomb, then you're going to mark them with Font of Life. And then it lets your ADC just heal a little bit in the laning phase. And then this is better for champions like Varus, Jinx, Kog'Maw, etc. that are like stationary, that want to just be basically like hyper carries that get a lot of auto attacks off anyways. And with Zilean, you also again don't have like heals and shields to help your AD carry trade. So getting this extra healing kind of just for hitting your abilities or casting them anyways, is nice to keep your AD carry just a little healthier throughout like the trades in lane. And then come mid game, the rest of your allies can also be proccing this if you land a double bomb or slow someone, etc. Third row, your good options are like conditioning or bone plating. Either one. If you're playing into melee champions, I suppose like bone plating is easier as it makes it where you effectively just have more HP. So if you're the one who eats the hook for some ungodly reason, you're gonna be able to survive it probably because bone plating just blocks a lot of damage for free, and it's on a 45-second cooldown. With conditioning, at 10 minutes you gain 9 armor, 9 magic resist. So this makes you tankier in the late game or even the mid game. Like, so long that you don't die in the first 10 minutes, conditioning is just better as it makes it so that any AoE damage or like damage from the mid lane or whatnot come mid game, because if you're playing Zilean support too, they kind of want to focus you instead of your carry. So having these extra stats is a lot more beneficial than having something like bone plating, which is effectively like a band-aid to your bad laning against melee supports. So that's what I'd recommend, but bone plating is easier, so do consider it. And then fourth row is going to be Revitalize. Heals and shields you cast or receive are 5% stronger and increased by an additional 10% on targets below 40% health. So this has obvious synergy with Zilean ult, as you're always going to be getting the 10% extra value out of your ult because your ult counts as a heal. And then yeah, the Guardian Shield's going to be bigger, and it's kind of it. This also works with the items like Redemption, Athene's, Ardent, or not Ardent, Redemption, Athene's, and Locket. So you're going to be like adding to those too, but it's mostly just for the ult. Overgrowth's not a bad rune, but usually you don't need the bonus health on Zilean, so that's that. And then the secondary runes wouldn't change. With the domination tree, if you were to run it with the Guardian page, you'd be missing out on a lot of mana for free, as biscuits are like your consistent way to get mana with a rune page like this. You could also run Mana Flow Ban and Gathering Storm. This would give you the AP for free and then some mana for free, but for most I would just recommend Biscuit Delivery and Cosmic Insight. It's simpler, and then also the mana is guaranteed from Biscuit Delivery. With Mana Flow Ban you have to build it up, and if you're running Guardian anyways, you're probably in a defensive matchup, so it might not be so advantageous to like be trying to spam bombs on the enemy to like build up Mana Flow Ban, or else you just don't have like enough mana in the laning phase. So that's Zilean runes. That's all the variations that I think are worth mentioning. So yeah, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I answer literally all of them. And if this video helped you, leaving a like helps me. And if you're interested in some support gameplay, come start a Season 10. I'll be streaming again on twitch.tv/SawyerNelson. Links in the description. Probably not playing Zilean. He's cool and all, but, you know, Senna's my girlfriend. If you could just not talk to her, that'd be great, man. Okay?